Chapter 16, Driving Away the Creatures. Woof woof woof. Squeak squeak squeak. The barking of dogs and the sharp cries of monkeys intertwined, echoing on Qingyun Mountain's Zhu Peak, breaking the tranquility here. Zhang Xiaofan, holding that black fire poker, burst out of the kitchen door in anger. You darn dogs. You darn monkeys. Stand your ground if you have the guts. The monkey Little Gray leapt onto the back of Big Yellow, who was already poised to run. Zhang Xiaofan couldn't catch up, watching helplessly as Little Gray made faces and placed a delicious meat bone into Big Yellow's mouth. Big Yellow was ecstatic. His doggy face lit up with joy. If it weren't for clamping down on the meat bone with his teeth might have fallen out from laughing. Huff. Zhang Xiaofan, with a disappointed expression, returned to the kitchen. Since he took charge of the kitchen at the age of 14, his culinary skills had garnered admiration from everyone. However, despite Big Yellow's enlightened dog status, he couldn't get the treatment he deserved, especially regarding the meat bones Zhang Xiaofan used to make soup, which were fragrant and delicious, the stuff of Big Yellow's dreams. Despite Zhang Xiaofan's efforts to hide the meat bones, whenever there was smoke from the kitchen and Little Gray's agility, this meat bone showdown often ended with Zhang Xiaofan's defeat. 2 years had passed in the blink of an eye, or rather a year and a half. Zhang Xiaofan had grown into a 16-year-old youth, taller now, towering over his senior sister Tia Linger by half a head. During this time, due to Tia Buyi's strict orders, all disciples on Zhu Peak had been in seclusion, except for Du Baishu, the 6th senior brother who went traveling. So Zhang Xiaofan, the chef, had the most leisure time during these 2 years. Unnoticed by anyone, Zhang Xiaofan had been practicing alone. To his disbelief, following the technique taught by senior brother Song Darren, he seemed to have completed the 2nd level of Jade Pure Realm, chair refinement, in just a year. He harbored doubts, but never asked Tia Buyi about it. With Song Darren, Tia Linger, and others focusing on their cultivation, he kept this question to himself. However, a significant challenge lay ahead. Tia Linger had secretly given him the technique for the 3rd level. He was well aware that this was a serious violation of the rules, but every night, standing alone in the courtyard and gazing at the night sky, he would recall the words, "You'll never be as good as senior brother Cha Hao." After 10 nights, he began practicing the 3rd level technique in the Tai Chi Xuan Xing Dao. The first 3 levels of the Jade Pure Realm were the foundation of all techniques. Unlike the first 2 levels of Guiding Che and Refining Che, the 3rd level's technique, Primordial Che, focused on cultivating Tai Chi Primordial Che. The technique stated, Tai Chi Primordial Che, containing the 3-in-1, Supreme, Center, Primordial, beginning, moving in the 12 zodiac signs. This is the harmony of yin and yang, the Che of creation. When disciples of Qingyun Sect reached this level, a clear divide would appear. The wise would often make a breakthrough, entering the higher realm of driving away, laying a solid foundation for cultivating the Tao. The slightly less talented would often stagnate and waste their lives. In the 5 years since Zhang Xiaofan's initiation, he had heard these things countless times in conversations with his senior brothers. However, it was evident that they all regarded him as one of the less talented ones. Returning to the kitchen, he approached the stove, filled it with water, and continued to add firewood, preparing to boil some water. The bright yellow flames flare up again, and Zhang Xiaofan, holding his poor black fire poker, stirred the firewood in the stove. When the fire stabilized, his gaze slowly fell on the fire poker in his hand. It wasn't that he discovered anything unusual. He was just lost in thought. The black fire poker, entirely dark except for the round bead at the top, was only about a foot long. The only peculiar thing was that beneath the black color of the fire poker, there were faint veins resembling blood vessels, especially where the short stick met the bead, which was more pronounced. Sometimes, it almost seemed as if these 2 things were fused together with human blood. Zhang Xiaofan shuddered suddenly, the thought of the fusion of human blood making him feel nauseous. Over the years, he had slowly forgotten the strange experience of that trip to the Ghost Valley, but occasionally, he would dream about that bizarre experience in the middle of the night, waking up covered in sweat. At that time, he felt very lonely, facing the unknown dangers in the darkness of death alone. Every time this happened, he found it hard to suppress his inexplicable excitement with an urge to kill. Even recalling the monk Piyuji's strange enthusiasm near that broken grass temple many years ago, Zhang Xiaofan had no idea why he felt this way, but fortunately, he had a way to calm his terrified heart. The great Brahma Prajna. This supreme Buddhist technique had the marvelous effect of suppressing evil spirits and purify the mind. He had been practicing it for 5 years, and its greatest use was to suppress the strange emotions that had surfaced over the past 2 years. Smack! Zhang Xiaofan felt a pain on his head as something fell to the ground. It turned out to be a pine cone. Zhang Xiaofan was angry and turned back, shouting angrily, "You darn monkey, don't let me catch you. Ha, it's you ... Sixth senior brother. Zhang Xiaofan jumped up, seeing a person standing at the doorway, of medium build, with a refined face and a smile on his face, carrying a small package on his back. Who else could it be but the long-unseen sixth senior brother, Du Baishu? Du Baishu looked Zhang Xiaofan up and down, clicking his tongue and saying, "Impressive. It's only been a few years, and you've grown as tall as me." Zhang Xiaofan, with a happy heart, nodded repeatedly. Du Baishu patted his head and suddenly whispered, "Come, accompany me to see Master." Zhang Xiaofan was stunned for a moment. "Why do you need me to go with you?" he asked. Du Baishu wore a wry smile and glanced around, evading the question, but Zhang Xiaofan, seated beside him, had a smile on his face, though he dared not laugh out loud, looking rather peculiar. At this moment, Tianyin, sitting opposite them, couldn't hold back anymore and asked Jade, "Father, sixth senior brother has finally returned. Why are you still so angry?" Du Baishu glanced at Jade and, being glared at in return, quickly lowered his head. Jade snorted and said, "Old Six, show everyone your magic weapon." At dinner time, for the first time in 2 years, the disciples of Tzu Peak gathered around a table to eat together. As everyone settled down, Jade still looked angry. After exchanging greetings with Du Baishu, the other disciples couldn't help but ask him quietly, "Senior brother Six, why is Master so angry to see you?" Du Baishu looked embarrassed, trying to change the subject. Zhang Xiaofan, sitting next to him, had a smile on his face, though he dared not laugh out loud, looking rather peculiar. At this moment, Tianyin, sitting across from them, couldn't hold back anymore and asked Jade, "Father, sixth senior brother has finally returned. Why are you still so angry?" Du Baishu glanced at Jade and, being glared at in return, quickly lowered his head. Jade snorted and said, "Old Six, show everyone your magic weapon." Du Baishu opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. He looked up at Master Su Ryu with hesitation, only to see Su Ryu smiling and saying, "Baishu, just take it out and show everyone. Let everyone know why your master got angry."